Alright, so I got an Xbox that I bought and it said no power. And I paid $17 for it. And I was a little afraid to plug that in for a sec there. Alright, so we're going to press the power button. It does not work. But what happens if we press eject? Nothing. We have zero power. So we are going to try to take it apart. Oh my goodness, dude. Look at these capacitors. You got rust on top of them. And I don't see anything on the power supply itself that is blown up. Let's check for any signs of voltage. So I'm assuming all of these are ground. And then we're going to have various voltages. So let's, will this fit in here? Let's be very careful. Alright, so orange, assuming that's, alright, so that's, orange is 5 volts, so I'm getting 5 volts. I see a blue wire. What is that? That's 5 volts. That's another 5 volts. Then yellow is down here. Yellow is on this right here. No voltage. There's a red wire on the bottom, maybe here. It's 5 volts. So that's a black wire. So I know at least at a minimum I'm getting 5 volts. Wish I had some smaller leads. So that red wire is this one. So yeah, I'm not getting anything on the red wire, but I am on the orange. I'm getting 5 volts. Nothing on that yellow wire. Yeah, quite a few. So what is red? Is red active after it comes on? So that's definitely one of the, I'm assuming, grounds. So let's see here. Nothing on that blue wire. Nothing on that white wire. Let's try here. Alright, I'm gonna have to look up and see what voltages I'm supposed to have where, because it's at least producing 5 volts. But I think it should probably produce more than 5 volts. Let me do some research and we will pick this up. Alright, so this is the version 1.6 because of that capacitor right there, that little gold capacitor. So we know that this is like the latest one that they made. I should have 2 standby voltages, 5 volts on the orange wire, which we do, and I should have 3.3 volts on this blue wire right here, which we do not have 3.3 volts on that blue wire. So that tells me that there's something wrong with the power supply. So let's remove the power supply and then take a look and see if we see any damage of some sort. And I cannot stress enough that messing with these power supplies is dangerous. Alright, so let's measure that big cap and let's see what kind of voltage we got on the big cap. And I don't think I have a way of discharging. I mean, suppose I could make like a big resistor, get a big resistor and just discharge it, but yeah, so it's 110. But since it's not connected to a load, it's probably going to hold that charge for a while. So we know that then the rectifier is doing what it's supposed to do. We know that that big cap is holding a solid steady charge, but why wouldn't I have the 3.3 volt standby? The chart says it's supposed to be in both. So why would I not? And what is that wire sticking out there? I need to order a capacitor discharge device if I'm gonna be doing this. I don't think it's really safe otherwise, you know. It's too bad your multimeter didn't have like a quick discharge function or something like that. So after poking around with the power supply for a while, I was getting my 5 volts. I just wasn't getting the 3.3 volts. So when you look at this diagram that we have located here, it tells you what you should expect. And so obviously we were getting the 5 volts. It wasn't on the red wire. I was getting 5 volts, I believe, on the orange wire. So I don't know if this diagram's a little bit off, but the principle of the thing is this. My 2 standby voltages, which are 5 volts and 3.3, when I put the power supply back into the Xbox, I then started to get 3.3 volts on the power switch, and I was getting 3.3 volts on the actual ATX connector itself. So I knew that I was getting both of my standby voltages into the motherboard. What I was not getting back was the power OK voltage, and that should also be 3.3 volts for a version 1.6. So if you don't get that power OK, then when you press the power on button, the power supply never knows to output the 12 volts to start the system. So that's what I was missing. And the reason I was missing that was because those CPU capacitors that I'm going to be changing here in a sec as you're watching the video, that was the whole problem the whole time. And so let's pick up with me changing caps. Alright, so we can see these capacitors are they're not doing so good. So we are going to change them. I ordered a total of 6 of these. I think they're either 3300 or 2200 microfarad capacitors. So we'll go ahead and get those out. So I will put it back in the case and I'll meet you back here when I'm done. Put it back together enough to test. Let's press the power on button. We have power. It's flashing green and red. Can I get this in the shot? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Alright, so the dry belt needs to be replaced. Power button off. Alright, so I got my controller. I've hooked up the cable to the back, video out cable. So we'll go ahead and turn it on. I'm going to press the on button. We'll switch over to scene 2. And yeah, that was the problem. So it's flashing like yellow and red because it didn't have the video cable. And I'm sure I knew that from the times before I've worked on these things. So let's see if our controller port works. See if I can set the clock. 2023. Alright, so we'll select that. Well, that's us in. Is there anything? Alright, so how do I go back? I hit B. Alright, so far that's working. So we are going to we got some Prince of Persia. I'm going to open our disk drive, and I hope this works, man, because if not, I'm going to be, I don't know what, it's hard to find these drives. Oh, don't tell me, dude, there it goes. It may just be dirty, perhaps, so let's clean it up. Clean the disc up, I mean. Put it back in. I hear it trying to read. Do I have another game? Let's try Splinter Cell. So the disk drive seems to be working better now that I've smacked it a couple of times. No. So I guess we're just going to have to take the disk drive apart and see if we can't clean it. Because you cannot. I tried this before on another video. I tried ordering a laser assembly from China, and it did not work. I'm sure it's filthy in there, so maybe cleaning the laser will work. But I've never, ever, once cleaned the laser on a console and it actually solved the problem. And that never works. Yeah, it's not even trying to read it, boy. Alright, so let me switch over and then we'll take the disk drive apart. Alright, let's take this thing apart and see what we can see. I'm not hopeful. I am absolutely not hopeful. Out of 15 consoles with bad CD drives, never has cleaning it made a difference. Not for me anyhow. But hey, you never know until you try. So that's what the inside of it looks like. It's got some dust in there, so maybe we can maybe this will be the first time. I can't find a rag, a brush, something. Dude, where's all my stuff at, bro? If I can get this to work, we'll give this thing a full, proper, amazing clean. Let's move that out of the way. I just want to get some of this bigger dust out of here. You know what, I think I'm going to take this outside on my air compressor and give it a little blowout. See how that works. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so I blew this thing out. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this spindle. And then I'm going to clean the laser assembly. And hope, considering it was kind of dusty, I'm hoping that this will fix the issue. Alright, it's back together enough to test, so let's power it on. Let's switch over to the HDMI. Alright, so we're in business. Alright, so let's open our disk tray. Alright, come on, you can work, bro. Nope. As I suspected, makes no difference. So as you saw, cleaning the DVD drive made no difference at all, and it never does. I've cleaned a bunch of them and it never works. So I am not going to spend 80 bucks on a disk drive. So I think what I'll do is I will install the Aladdin Xt Plus 2 or whatever it is mod chip, and then we'll try to figure out what we can do with that. So I have some wire and I have this kit that comes with the Aladdin mod chip. It comes with the actual circuit board, and it comes with this I'm not sure what you would call that, a connector, and this is going to plug down in there like that. So we have to, from watching other videos, and this isn't going to be a tutorial on how to do something because I'm doing it for the first time as I'm recording this video. So there's a bunch of how-to videos on how to do this. This is just me trying to do it. Because ultimately, what I want to do is to install a mod chip that will allow me to FTP into the hard drive of the console, so that rather than using a DVD to play games, what I can then do is take a DVD, an ISO of a game that I have, and then copy and paste that over to the Xbox. So things I want to accomplish in this video: I want to install the mod chip. I then want to take a 500 gig hard drive, a SATA hard drive, and then put that SATA hard drive into the Xbox, and then install my games onto that hard drive via FTP. So that's what we're going to do, or that's what we're going to attempt to do. So the first thing I have to do is I have to solder this into the LPC connector. And as far as I can tell, the LPC connector is simply what Microsoft would use to debug the console. So when you place this in here, you want to place it. You notice this isn't, as I said, this wasn't going to be a how-to video, but anyhow, you see where it says LPC right there? You're going to place it as far down on this as you can, like so. That's still not right, is it? Just slide that over like that. So that's how it should be sitting in there. So then we'll flip this over and we'll tack it into place. Like so. So I got a little solder on there, so now I'll put some flux down so I can go ahead and tack it into place. So I don't have to hold it from the bottom side. should do it, yep. So now I can flux up this whole area. Alright, so I think those look moderately okay, I guess. I'm completely missing a pin. I need to get closer or something with the camera. So I'm going to be using this wiring diagram to run wires and connect it to that connector that I just soldered in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what I have when I'm done. Alright, so after I wired it all up, that's kind of what it looks like. Ended up having to run a piece of enameled wire between these 2 points right here, because when I went to put the wire on, I accidentally ripped the trace, so I had to repair the trace. So yeah, so that's what it looks like. I'm going to flip this over. And the next thing it tells me to do is I need to take a jumper and go, I think, from here to here. Or no, from there to there. So I am going to make sure I'm doing that correctly, and when I'm done I'll come back. Alright, so I just used enamel wire right on the internet. The dudes I've watched do this, they use like 30 gauge or whatever, but I don't know if it matters or not. If it matters, I'll fix it at some other point. So yeah. So now all we have to do is plug this into the... There's an optional step that I might do. I don't know. So I think it's supposed to go on here like so. No. Perhaps like this, maybe. I think it's supposed to go on there like that. Let me double check the picture and see. Yeah, I think it's supposed to go on there like that. So, as far as I know, that's the bare minimum of getting this thing to work. So, I'm going to put it back in the case and cut it on and see what happens. Alright, let's boot it up. Alright, so we have the Evo X. The Evo X in the top left hand corner, so we know that we installed it correctly. So I guess the next step is to, number one, I gotta hook up my Linksys router, plug that into my actual router, and then run the Linksys as a bridge. So the Linksys will provide IP connectivity for the Xbox. So then that way I can use my laptop to FTP to the Xbox, so that I can then add whatever files I need to add. So, and I need to take the new hard drive, the 500 gig hard drive, partition that so that it's ready to run as an Xbox, and then I have to install a splash screen, or the whatever you call that, the default boot up menu. So yeah, so I've got to do some things to get this to work. So once I figure out what to do, I will tell you what I did. Alright, so this is where I'm at. So I have this device here, which is basically an IDE to SATA adapter. It comes with a jumper that you can set this to either master or slave. So I removed it because it's SATA, and so with SATA it doesn't recognize master or slave. I also purchased this 80 pin 40 wire IDE cable, because a lot of the tutorial videos that I've watched said that you need that. I've also tried a bunch of different hard drives, and so The logic is that with that hard drive I've configured on my PC, and so then I should be able to. The whole idea is when you boot this up, you want it to boot up into the dashboard that I pre-installed on the hard drive. But it doesn't do it. It does. I'll show you what it does here in just. Let me cut this on. Apparently it does nothing. So I have my EvoX logo, but it just sits there, and then eventually it gives me the 09 error saying that there's something wrong with your hard drive. So this is where I'm stuck, and I cannot get past it. So without a working DVD drive, I don't see any way of getting a dashboard installed on this hard drive. I just don't see it. I don't know what to do. So, and I'll show you how I configured the hard drive. So I'm using a program called File Explorer Beta 64, and when I execute this program, it will allow me to then configure a hard drive. So I go up to Formatting Tools, and I want to configure an original Xbox hard drive. And so it searches for the devices. So this is my USB device that I want to configure. I select Next. I tell it that I want an LBA increasing BIOS partition table, and I don't fully understand what these others are, but everybody online saying that you just use this for the Aladdin Xt Plus 2. So I select Next, and it's going to create your E, your C, your F, your EC and F drives. And so I'll select Next. Now at this point you can, if you have preloaded drives, like for example, if I go to my Xbox E backup zip and my Windows C backup with boot animation zip, I could preload those with everything already installed on them, and then I should be able to plug it into my Xbox and it should work. But that has not worked for me. So what I've been doing is I just select Next, I format. The format's complete. I go up to Devices. I select my original Xbox. I load Devices, and then that's just it's not going to work anyways. So for example, on my C partition, so if I want to mount my shell partition C onto my X drive, what this will do is it'll pop open a window that allows me to then put files onto the C drive. And so this is the part that is confusing, because one video says, oh yeah, I just use XBMC for gamers, so you just highlight all of that and you paste it into your C drive. But the problem I found is that doesn't work. So when I do that, all it does is gets to the Xbox logo and just sits there for a long time. I suppose I could copy all of this. I could copy all of this over to my C drive. And that's supposed to be your this is your new dashboard. This right here is your dashboard, and if I go back to and then I go to my E drive stuff, this is everything that should be on my E drive. So if I want to go here, I'm going to unmount the C drive, and then I'm going to go back in here, load devices, and now I'm going to mount my E drive onto X, and then I'll paste all of that information that I had originally, or that's on my desktop. Now they say that this is a complete working Xbox. I should do this. I should then take and plug that Xbox, or plug that hard drive back into the Xbox, and it should work just fine. But it has not been working for me. Okay, it's complete, so I'll close that. I'll unmount it. I'll come here. I'll eject that drive, and now I'll go put it back in the Xbox. So I've put the drive back in the Xbox. I'm going to boot the Xbox. And that's what I get. So I don't know what to do. I think I'm tapping out on this. I don't know how to fix it. Till I get a working DVD drive, I'm just gonna have to hold on to this. So yeah. So anyhow, if you know anything, or if you have an idea for me to try, please let me know, so that I can try to get this thing working. Anyhow, appreciate it.